Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with Peplink. Today's host is Jason. He is their technical marketing engineer. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to submit them in the question box, and I'll ask them of Jason at the end of today's presentation. Jason, thank you so much for being with us here today. I am finished for now. You can go ahead and take it on over.
Thanks, Julie. As Julie said, my name's Jason Krupp. I'm one of the technical marketing engineers over here at Peplink, and today we're taking a slightly different tact with today's presentation. Wanting to kind of bring it a little more basic today and just kind of really illustrate what the Peplink advantage is and the opportunities it brings to you. Going over the table of contents, we're just going to start with a quick introduction, who Peplink is, describe what an SD-WAN is a bit, and then how speed fusion equates to that definition, and then move into some of the applications where you can certainly go ahead and sell Peplink gear. Enterprise branch networking, IoT industrial, cell networking, and then close with some Q&A. First off, a bit about ourselves. Peplink was founded in 2006. We currently hold over 30 granted patents regarding our speed fusion SD-WAN technology. Our focus always has been and continues to be comprehensive wired and wireless SD-WAN for any deployment in any environment. Peplink is a strong global brand with over 500 partners and resellers in 70 countries around the world. Our company is driven by passionate industrial evangelists who know a great deal about how our gear works, how to get it into the right hands and into the right deployments. Peplink is efficient and agile. Currently, about 127 people, of which 81 are dedicated R&D engineers. We are 100% in-house, whether it's hardware, software, that R&D, or what have you. We have a rapid open feedback loop with our customers and partner teams, and we are very lean and efficient with our workflows. Our CEO, Alex Chan, likes to think about us as a little giant, short in stature, but broad in impact. Peplink has direct communication with both the partner team and the end users, primarily through our forum at forum.peplink.com. We have dynamic and passionate team members ready to stand by to answer whatever questions you may have. And in light of the work that we've done up to this point, Gartner's Magic Quadrant report from last year, 2018, shines a light on the brightest and most capable companies for that WAN edge solution infrastructure. Peplink has managed to make that prestigious report for the first time, and it's something we're rather proud of. How did we get there? Well, first off, let's talk a bit about an SD-WAN solution. Now, let's face it, the way that businesses work is absolutely changing than even 2 years ago. Work is done abroad, and the internet is key to how that business is conducted. Whether telecommuting, going on site, it doesn't matter. Corporate networks have to change with the times as well, and this is where software-defined wide area networks, or an SD-WAN, comes into play. SD-WANs bring unparalleled agility and cost saving to your business. SD-WAN architecture can connect your branches, data centers, optimize your network performance, and do so cheaply at about a third of the cost of a traditional WAN solution. Well, let's compare and contrast those. A traditional WAN is classically rather expensive to get some of the more reliable solutions out there, an MPLS, bonded T, what have you. They're also rather inflexible, not really able to scale with the day-to-day needs of a company, not without throwing a lot more money at it, rather. And you do have to configure your routers individually and on the ground. Contrast this with an SD-WAN, which brings you that same or even greater reliability at about a third of the cost by combining consumer-grade internet connections into something greater than the sum of its parts. SD-WANs allow you to freely add or remove WAN links as necessary, and you are able to do all of this from the cloud. Wireless SD-WAN solutions are expected to grow to about 15 to 20% of the global SD-WAN market by 2021, according to the IDC. And currently, Peplink is holding 21% as of 2016 of the wireless SD-WAN market. Well, what is an SD-WAN? First off, it allows you to be flexible by consolidating equipment. An SD-WAN router can simplify, consolidate your network by replacing a number of other pieces of equipment on the network, load balancers, VPN appliances, firewalls, etc. An SD-WAN is cloud optimized. Again, the push nowadays is for virtualization, and our SD-WAN solution, SpeedFusion, is absolutely able to follow suit. Here we see an example of a number of deployments scattered across most of the cloud platforms available on the market, and we're able to do so worldwide. Gartner sets a few pieces of key information in their definition in order for something to qualify as an SD-WAN. First up, an SD-WAN solution has got to be able to provide that secure VPN, offload internet traffic closer to the edge router as well. Well, what does this mean? Generally speaking, the ability to set a local breakout for your internet-bound traffic, have automatic routing sensing for your traffic going from the branch to the cloud locations, and to be able to set application-level customization rules for quality service, what have you. Next up, SD-WAN solutions have got to be able to do this simply, otherwise what's the point? The ability to have seamless failover between multiple internet connections or multiple VPN tunnels. The ability to mix and match the best of business grade and consumer grade internet connections to get you something, again, greater than the sum of its parts. The ability to scale without bottlenecks and to be able to optimize that performance between the sites. We also need to be able to allow for load sharing or traffic steering across multiple WAN connections efficiently and dynamically. The ability to actively monitor your WAN quality and to be able to make routing decisions based on it. Policies able to be customized on the application for security and performance, and the ability to have it once it's set up to hands off. You don't need to go and poke it with a stick anymore. Peplink's SD-WAN solution, SpeedFusion, absolutely matches this definition, and we've been on the market for about a decade. SD-WAN is kind of the first industry-wide term that neatly describes how our technology and products work, and being able to use this term can simplify questions with customers. The term is pretty useful for avoiding the confusion as well with traditional or equipment or server-based load balancing products. Now, we're not replacing any of our existing Peplink terms with SD-WAN, but again, think of it as a shorthand to be able to easily describe what we do to someone who's not necessarily familiar with our gear. So again, we meet this definition by being first a leader in WAN virtualization with our SpeedFusion technology, which we'll get into in a moment. We do have our traffic steering rules that we call outbound policy to take advantage of those connections. We do have a vast array of those mobile products out there, cellular-based and otherwise. We do have our cloud-based controller here in Control 2, as well as our SD-WAN virtual appliance Fusion Hub. In Control 2 bears another mention here. This is really kind of what brings us in as an SD-WAN enabler. I mean, let's face it, network administration requires constant attention, configuring devices, making sure everything is up and running properly, as well as being able to troubleshoot issues as they arise. With IC2, these functions become available for all of that from any web browser. And Control 2 is cloud-based, and it is our Peplink management system. When you connect it up with your gear, it aggregates data for useful reports on all aspects of the network, bandwidth, client usage, etc. On a single screen, you can push configs to any and all of your endpoints with a variety of zero-touch configuration options. And if you got to dig deeper, you can remotely access the UI of any device on your network from the cloud. So let's dive a little bit on how SpeedFusion matches these points. First off, what is SpeedFusion? SpeedFusion is Peplink's patented tech, giving you the ability to create a single VPN across all WAN connections tasked to it. Bandwidth from all of those WANs do get bonded together on a packet level. The tunnel is encrypted with 256-bit AES military-grade encryption, giving you that aggregated speed, that uptime, or what we call hot failover, even when a WAN drops out of the tunnel. With a SpeedFusion SD-WAN solution, you're going to combine again those multiple consumer-grade internet connections, giving you the ability to save upwards of 90% of a normal business class solution. 99.99999% reliability gets achieved through that bandwidth bonding, that aggregation of the connections together. And over time, these cost savings add up, effectively giving your customer cash back when they swap over to an SD-WAN solution, SpeedFusion. SpeedFusion, again, is point-to-point. It does require 2 SpeedFusion-capable Peplink devices at minimum. Different models of Peplink PepWave devices are able to create SpeedFusion at different levels, which we'll get into in a moment. You are going to need a public IP on at least one of your WAN connections, and a static one at that. If you have a dynamic public IP, it's not the end of the world. There are a variety of what are called dynamic DNS services, giving you the ability to assign a name to that internet connection, and we can build the tunnel to that. SpeedFusion can be deployed in multiple configuration types. We have point-to-point and meshed versions available, and we have a number of deployment methods available to us as well. Whether you go into the UI of the gear itself to set things up, or zero-touch configuration options from Control 2. Here's how it works. Traffic is going to hit SpeedFusion, get broken up on the packet level, and then those packets are sent across all available internet connections tasked to it. Once you hit the other side of the tunnel, packets are then decrypted and reassembled into sessions on the remote network. Transmission and reception are done at the aggregated WAN link speed. That means add them all up, and that's what you're getting minus a little bit for overhead. SpeedFusion can be deployed at a few levels, as I alluded to a moment ago. Where things are starting at is what we call PepVPN. Think of it as kind of an IPsec analog, a simple machine-to-machine tunnel that's always up and running, but it gives you all the benefits of a SpeedFusion type solution because it's based on the same groundwork, the same engine. Next up is what we call hot failover. This is what we call with that session persistence. So if you are in the midst of a file transfer from the headquarters to a branch office and you lose one of your internet connections, that file transfer does not get interrupted because you are using the remaining internet connections that you have at the location. WAN smoothing is where we go to next, and this is for more real-time applications, video streaming, etc., where you're using those multiple internet connections you have at the site to create a single jitter-free data stream. 2 plus 2 gets you about 3.6 on a normal bonding solution. We kind of say WAN smoothing is a 2 plus 2 gets you a hard 2. And then finally, bonding. This is kind of the best of all available worlds. This is where we're looking for horsepower. Combine the speed and bandwidth of those connections together into a single screaming pipe. So a little bit further on each of the levels. Hot failover again allows you to continue to have that session go on even if one of the WANs drops out. Small office connectivity, retail connectivity, your connection of your POS devices back to headquarters. This is again where we're looking for that reliability while keeping costs down. WAN smoothing, more real time. VoIP calls, video conferencing, TV and radio broadcasts. This is where we're looking for reliability more so necessarily than getting more bandwidth out of the equation. And then finally, bonding. This is the one where we're adding everything up to make a large pipe, using it as an MPLS alternative, remote surveillance, vehicle connectivity, etc. So again, if we take a look at kind of the differences at each level, hot failover are those unbreakable sessions. WAN smoothing are those reliable streaming sessions, and bandwidth bondings is blazing speed. We also have listed on the page here a few of the customers, some of which we'll touch on in a moment. Others, if you want to go over to our website, just peplink.com, you'll see a number of our case studies up and running on the site, and you can go into a little further detail on how some of these customers have taken advantage of what we bring to the table. One of the ones I will talk about, though, is the town of Tonawanda in New York City. They have gone ahead and replaced their 50 meg FiOS, or excuse me, it was the peer-to-peer link that they had a Wi-Fi one up and running, and they replaced this with a SpeedFusion connection. We've got 9 sites going back to their central headquarters, and these numbers always impress me. Why us? 92% savings on what their previous internet bill was. You can see down below. They used to be spending $96,000 and got that reduced down to $7,000 for 15 times the bandwidth that they had previously. 96% savings with an ROI of just under 5 months. Clinton National Bank also migrating away from some of the more expensive MPLS solutions. We have a 580 at the headquarters and other of our smaller 210 devices at the branch locations. They saved 85% off of their previous bill and were able to light up disaster recovery sites with the extra bandwidth that they were able to bring in. Again, that kind of mixing of the internet connections gave them the resilience they need and the savings that everybody loves. That's our SD-WAN solutions. Now let's talk about where we can start to plug this in. One of the first obvious applications that we can think of is enterprise branch networking. Again, businesses are more decentralized than ever before. We have branch offices all over the world, telecommuting employees. All of these are going to require access back to headquarters for day-to-day needs, resources, video meetings, calls, what have you. Our line of products makes connectivity between the locations pretty simple, and SpeedFusion adds all of those benefits that we just talked about. And when we use it with our multi-WAN router line, the balance, and our virtual SpeedFusion appliance Fusion Hub. Again, these things are simple to use. All of our gear has a web-based UI and a setup wizard that'll actually take you through most of the basic configuration really within minutes. When you pair this with our cloud-based platform and Control 2, we have a number of zero-touch configuration options as well. Connectivity between sites isn't complicated anymore, is the main bullet point. SpeedFusion, again, is resilient. It is robust and keeping you connected back to your headquarters with multi-WAN connections. And finally, these things are scalable. You can add other WANs into the mix, getting that reliability that more expensive solutions offer at a fraction of the cost. So what does that mean? Well, first off, remote connectivity. We have both client-based as well as site-based connectivity options. All of our gear is fully compatible with L2TP with IPsec to connect back to your headquarters private network. Now, of course, L2TP is not universal at this point, so if they don't have that option, we can still certainly use PPTP as well. And then as we had illustrated, SpeedFusion gives you an always-on military-grade encrypted connection back to headquarters to get to what you need. Another obvious application for branch networking is, of course, retail chain connectivity, connecting your point of sales devices back to the main transaction server. Again, SpeedFusion is reliable for all of that transaction data. It is a secure, convenient way to get things to go back and forth. And in the example here, we have a number of models that can certainly communicate back to our Fusion Hub instance back at the headquarters location. Talked about the application a little bit. Now, where would you start to plug some of the equipment? Well, as you can see here, with branch networking, we really have about 3 different sizes that we're talking about. We have our branch office, remote site office locations. We have data centers into the mix routinely, as well as our main headquarters location. Now, depending on the WAN connections available to you, you got a few options. So again, with the branch office, these are generally smaller, both in personnel and internet connections available. So on the balance side, common recommendations would be our balance 1, the balance 210, or if you go in, the 210 has the ability to become what we call a 310, going from 2WAN to 3WAN with a simple unlock purchase. Our Max mobile line, which is again our cellular focused devices. On the smaller end, we would look at the BR1, the HD2, or our outdoor version of the HD2, what we call the IP67. Fusion Hub instances as well potentially could be used, although the Solo is probably more so on the data center side of the equation. Fusion Hub Solo is a single peer connection back to the cloud is what it comes down to. Our data center, again, this is large amounts of bandwidth and traffic going through constantly. Our biggest balance we offer is what we call the Balance 2500. On the data center side of the equation, a Max mobile device, probably not the best fit as your main router, but potentially bringing in another a cellular internet connection to hand off to a Balance 2500 is a vague possibility. And then our larger Fusion Hub instances that we call the Fusion Hub 1000 and 2000. And then our headquarters locations. This again is kind of the central hub where everything collects. Our Balance 710, our Balance 1350, potentially an HD4, which is 4 cellular modems in play. And then our Fusion Hub 100 and 500. Now this isn't an exhaustive list. We've got new products in R&D and being tested constantly. If you want to keep up to date with the latest and greatest, I highly recommend that you make sure that you're getting our partner newsletter, excuse me, as well as staying up to date on our forum at forum.peplink.com. A name you may have heard of, Hickory Farms, absolutely is taking advantage of the branch networking solution. Over 560 plus BR1s rolled out to these seasonal kiosks that do get set up in your various shopping malls around the country. In Control 2 was pivotal to speeding this up. The ability, again, was via our zero-touch configuration options to clone configurations, push them out to all of the devices en masse that are tasked to the account, and to be able to keep eyes on the network. Again, WAN usage, is a WAN healthy, etc. Easy to set up, no technical personnel needed with our simple and easy to use web-based UI. And by using VLANs, you have the ability to add another layer of security to the network, isolating virtually a particular branch from another. Let's move on to our industrial IoT section. By 2020, Gartner predicts there's going to be 20 billion connected Internet of Things devices out on the market. And this is really affecting everything from gas, power, electrical, even the consumer grade devices like video doorbells, for example, and a whole lot more. These devices need to have a sufficient backend built to make sure things are up and running, reliably available, and especially the bandwidth need to push the data that's required for the application. That's where Peplink enters. Some of the benefits, again, we bring with Speed Fusion, combining multiple cell modules into a single SD-WAN to give you that VPN performance and reliability you've come to expect. You are building an MPLS-grade network over those consumer internet links. Speed Fusion combines the coverage of multiple carriers, saving you money and allowing you to seamlessly transition between different 2G, 3G, LTE networks as necessary. Our gear can support both USB cell thumbsticks as well as SIM cards put directly into the unit. And with our built-in cell module units, we do support up to 2 carriers per modem with those redundant SIM slots. Remote video monitoring is the first application that can really benefit from things here. And in our case here, we have a security camera hooked up to our Max HD IP67 series and getting power via PoE output. Then we go ahead and build a Speed Fusion tunnel back to the head office data center, which on that end could be a Balance 2500 or one of our Fusion Hub instances. The Max HD models can support up to 4 cell modules for redundant SIM, of course, with that Speed Fusion connection. And then with the Balancer Fusion Hub back at the data center headquarters, that allows you to connect to the patrol vehicles out on the market, or out in the area rather, using that bandwidth bonded VPN data to pass along the camera information. Two-way radio, another very common application here. First off, we have our wireless walkie-talkies, and then we connect them to the MAX router in the vehicle via a Wi-Fi signal. We go ahead and build PepVPN, which again is that IPsec analog that the BR1 does support out of the box, connecting those 2 sites into a single local network. Think of it as like a long-distance Ethernet connection. You can now then reach the remote site through the PepVPN tunnel, passing that voice data from one walkie to the other. And again, in the example here, we're using our Max BR series in the truck, and then, some of our either bigger balances or Fusion Hub back at the hospital location. Remote metering, this is where we start to get into some of the IoT aspects things as well. One of the models we have is what we call the BR1 M2M, and this is going to convert that RS-232 serial signal without needing a dedicated serial converter. It's got the serial port built right into the PepWave. We collect the data within Control 2. The reports get fed back up to the cloud. And then you can use that collected data with third-party applications via our API that we have available to you. Out-of-band management specifically, another great way that this stuff works. So even in the existing network, if your internet is down, you can manage things with one of our BR1 M2M units. Connect again the BR1 to your main router's console port, and this doesn't necessarily need to be one of our balanced devices. And then using the cell module within the M2M, report back to In Control 2, and then you have the ability to access your router's console via Telnet or SSH. You putty into it, and away you go. Much like the branch networking locations, some of the common equipment that you would be able to certainly recommend for some of these sites, we have again our remote site, our headquarters location, and then we have some of the more, I call them outdoor remote sites or extreme sites, etc. For the remote sites, again, the Balance 1, the 210, 310, The smaller units that we kind of touched on with the branch networking section will work well here. Headquarters are balanced 2500, the larger fusion hubs. And then for the outdoor remote sites, this is where we get into some of those extreme remote places, remote oil rigs or the like. We wanted to try and take a look at some of our more rugged devices, the BR1 IP67, the HD2 IP67 if we got to have something facing the elements. And then, of course, dependent upon the bandwidth that are going through things, scale your balance needs accordingly. And just like branch networking, this isn't an exhaustive list. This is just some of the common recommendations, and new products are coming out all the time. One of our case studies that we have for remote IoT is there's a fairly large natural gas pipeline SCADA system out there that's got 80 balanced 20s deployed with bonding together VSAT and 3G connections using Speed Fusion back to headquarters. The balance is going to connect to the remote terminal unit on site, land side, as well as a programmable logic controller so that the customer has the ability to adjust various metrics remotely, not necessarily needing to be on site. Why did we win? We gave them the ability to remotely monitor and control those pipelines in real time. Using a Control 2, again, centralized management becomes possible, and just the other units out on the market simply couldn't do what we do. Cell bonding. Of course, in today's market, we're migrating away more and more from land-based connections and going more towards higher and higher throughput rated cellular connections. Again, people are out on the field. They're not necessarily in an office location to take advantage of whatever you got dropped into the building. As such, if you've got a poor or spotty cell coverage in wherever your remote worker is at, this can bring downtime and productivity challenges to the table. We address these issues with our best-in-class multi-cell routers, the Max Mobile product line. Because we need that uninterrupted internet access to function for just our day-to-day resources, Peplink allows you to connect to those services with Speed Fusion, making something greater than the sum of its parts. And in this case, multiple cell modules can certainly be bonded together just as if it was a T1, a DSL, what have you. Connections are going to get lost because of gaps in coverage wherever you're at. And with SDWAN, hot failover, session persistence, we can migrate around some of those dead areas. Carrier plans can just get expensive depending on what kind of contracts you put together, especially for such M2M plans that exist nowadays. Well, with features with our products, such as our rolling workplace concept, allows you to send traffic away from those more expensive internet connections with our outbound policy rules we talked about earlier. And then simply put, you just enter in the human factor into things. End users abusing the available network makes bandwidth in short supply for the things that do need to get done. Control your LAN traffic with QoS, our domain blocker that we have set up, as well as a content filter, so that way bandwidth is shared fairly to everybody on the LAN. Connectivity, again, back to headquarter resources, just as it was done with our Peplink Balance line, the Max Mobile line of products are just simply exchanging your Ethernet-based connections for a cellular-based one, bringing all of the same advantages to the table. Our rolling workplace is a relatively new concept that we have. What this does is we're trying to redefine productivity while you're out and about. Multiple cellular internet connections give you that ability, again, to work wherever there is a cell signal. And Peplink Speed Fusion gives you that reliable connection for unbreakable SaaS applications during the commute, giving you that connectivity back to your headquarters, back to your workstation to do what you need to do. Now, this is a little more than trying to work with somebody's mobile hotspot on their phone or the like, which can, again, cut in and out and has all of the disadvantages of a single internet connection. It connects you to your workspace, and the rolling workplace concept changes commute time into that meaningful productivity time everybody needs. Some of the equipment that are usually tapped to it, once you get onto the bus, you have one of our smart reader devices to badge in on. This is just that. It's a cloud-based badge reader we do have. Activating the the Wi-Fi connections from our HD4 cellular router, which can have a couple of access points hanging off of it to give you that Wi-Fi signal on the shuttle that you need. And we even have some of our newer products in play here, the SDPMU, which is giving the cell router, the access points, consistent power in an inconsistent electrical system of the vehicle. Harris County Sheriff's Office definitely uses this approach with our mobile command units. We have a 580 deployed at headquarters, the other way around, a 1350 in their headquarters and 580s on their mobile assets, combining public safety LTE, commercial LTE, VSAT, broadband, etc. And with SpeedFusion, aggregating the connections together gives them the ability to stream that HD media back to headquarters for review. This thing is always online, giving you redundancy wherever necessary. Maritime connectivity, another approach that comes into play here. You're out on the ship, there is a number of challenges available to you. Fluctuating network availability, just simply put, some connections are not going to be available when you're out on the deep water. This stuff can get expensive, and this stuff does bottleneck your internal resources on a variety of levels. With our SpeedFusion solution, you have the ability to load balance between multiple internet connections seamlessly. In the example here, you are closer to shore, giving you the ability to connect up to Wi-Fi access, cellular connectivity, etc. And as you start to move further out into the waters, the Wi-Fi may drop out, but you still may have some access to LTE as well as VSAT connectivity. And when you're in the deep water, of course, VSAT's probably going to be about your only option to you. How it works again is we have our point-to-point connections set up in HD on the boat. We are using multiple internet connections going back to the data center. The Fusion Hub at the data center is collating everything back together with a beefy back end, let's say. And then using resources on the ship, then have the ability for that higher speed throughput through SpeedFusion for internet, VoIP phones, TVs, cameras, etc. Common gear associated with maritime connectivity would be our Max BR1 series. We have both indoor and outdoor versions available. The Max HD series, which is anywhere from 2 to 4 cell modems in play. All of these do have built-in Wi-Fi available to them. And then, of course, a Fusion Hub on the back end to go ahead and bond everything together. A relatively recent case that came to our attention is Tom's International, based in Australia. This is biometric tracking that is used in tourism applications. So what they do is they take a scan of your hand, match it to a photo of your face, and that biometric ID is able to be used for a variety of services while you're on the ship. Purchases, waivers, record attendance to where you're at, etc. We're using a combination of HD2 IP67s and Fusion Hubs to go ahead and bond these connections together to give them, again, bandwidth, resiliency, and uptime to make sure that the application is working properly. And Control 2 allows you to keep an eye on things as necessary. We've gone through quite a bit today, guys. But if you want to continue to stay up to date on what we offer, social media platform is a great way to do so. We're on all the major platforms, and I can't stress this enough. Our form.peplink.com, gets you direct line access to a lot of people on the team, as well as other very knowledgeable end users who may be able to answer questions as well. That brings me to the end of my talk today. I hope this was able to clarify a few things. And Julie, I am absolutely ready for questions.
Excellent. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it. And we enjoyed that presentation very much. So let's get started. I do have some questions here for you. First one, can you mention to us a little bit more about where your products are manufactured?
Certainly. Again, Peplink is a global company. Everything is in-house. My understanding is primarily Taiwan is where most of the gear is put together, as well as Hong Kong.
Excellent. Thank you. Is the Peplink forum available to anyone to use? Is it like a public forum?
Yes, absolutely it is, and that's what gives it a lot of its power. We have staff in there, we have end users in there, we have other partners in there. It is a mix of knowledge and skill sets to really get you what you need.
Excellent. So between that and your social media, there's a lot of information we can get out there.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Next question here. Is there a limit of devices that can be managed in the InControl 2?
No, I have never heard of a limitation, honestly, or I've never run into one. We have accounts with 2 and 3, InControl 2 accounts with 2 and 3 devices, and we have accounts that have literally hundreds.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Next question here for you. Does InControl 2 come with all of the Peplink equipment? In other words, all that's needed?
Yes. Well, with an asterisk. InControl 2, well, let me back up. All of our devices are covered with a 1-year warranty out of the box from the time the end user or the customer purchases it. Included in that is access to InControl 2. Once we go past a year, you have a couple of options. You can either renew warranty for the device, which will continue to get you InControl 2 access, or depending on the model, and this is primarily the smaller units, there may be an InControl 2 subscription option. So as long as you keep up warranty coverage on the gear, you absolutely will have access to IC2.
Fantastic. Thank you. Yes, I was going to ask about warranty coverage for your equipment. So can you touch base on that one more time about warranties?
Certainly. Again, out of the box, Peplink gear is covered with a 1-year warranty from the day the end user purchases it. That's when the clock starts. We do have some extended warranty options, again, kind of dependent on the model that you have. In 1 and 2 year increments that could be added on indefinitely, as long as the device is working. Simply put.
Excellent. Thank you. Next question. In regards to some of your case studies, will your case studies show which models are being used for that particular application?
Most of them do, yeah. If you head over to the website, it's under the Solutions tab, and you'll see case studies. There are a number of them up there.
Very good. Thank you. Next question. Are there any training and educational courses that are offered from Peplink? I know you guys have a strong presence out there on your forum and all of your social media platforms and stuff. Can you tell me about educational courses?
Absolutely. We do have certification programs available both for kind of the tech side and the sales side. It's just training.peplink.com once you're signed on your partner pavilion as well, is what I'm trying to say. That does walk you through certification. I do know that our sales team is kind of overhauling the sales program, tying certification into that a bit. So it does certainly behoove you to take a look at the information available to you. I mean, as a partner of Peplink, we do want to make sure that you're knowledgeable and able to support the gear you sell. We have also started doing a number of what we call tech summits throughout the year. We just recently had one in Hong Kong a couple weeks ago. We generally have one in the U.S., one in Europe, and then one in Hong Kong as well. Starting with our last U.S. one in New Orleans, we actually had a PCE boot camp that yours truly hosted. Really trying to give you the information that you need, much like our webinars here, in order to properly, know what to sell, what to recommend, and how to support the Peplinks once you make the sale. I fully expect that tradition is going to keep going on as well. One of my compatriots, Sitlong, did it in Hong Kong, and I imagine we'll be doing that again whenever there is a European summit that does get announced.
Thank you, Jason, for that. Next question here. Is there any data reflecting any losses of battery life power while powering mobile routers?
Give me that question one more time.
Sure. Is there any data reflecting any losses of battery life power while powering mobile routers?
We must be talking about vehicle deployments, I'd imagine, then. This is where some of our newer gear that we offer, and I'm just going back to the slide, the SDPMU. It is a power management unit that we do certainly have available, and there is a back-end monitoring platform that does come with that as well that can keep eyes on power fluctuations and the like when you got things up and running. I hope that answers the question. Otherwise, if they could give me some more to go on.
Okay, no problem. Which brings us to, if we want to reach out and touch base with you, can we call or email you?
Certainly. It's just Jason K, JASONK @peplink.com. I would wholeheartedly recommend, because I do get pulled in a few directions, to also CC CS, Charlie Sierra Customer Service at peplink.com as well. That way we got the most eyes on it. And again, of course, the form.peplink.com. One way or the other, we can answer whatever questions you need.
Excellent. Thank you. And one more question, another couple questions here for you. Do you have any products coming out with 5G connectivity capabilities?
Yep. Can't really talk about them too much yet, but stay tuned. You'll see something.
Excellent. We'll look forward to that in the future whenever you're ready.
Definitely.
Okay, terrific. Hey, you mentioned partner newsletters. I'm not sure. Do you email those to distributors such as us?
To the best of my knowledge, I certainly expect that's the case.
Just didn't know off the top of my head. That's what I'm asking.
Oh, sure. I thought they certainly did, but if not, just marketing at peplink.com.
Excellent. Okay, terrific. Jason, thank you so much for answering all of those questions for us. And thank you to everyone for attending today's webinar. If there are any other further questions, please feel free to contact your rep and email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you wish to view any of the products mentioned or shown here today, please visit us at www.microcom.us. And please remember, this webinar presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so you can view it again. Jason, appreciate your time today. Excellent presentation.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to the next time.
Sounds great. You guys have a great time. Have a good day, and we'll talk soon. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you, Jason. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.